I remember when I was a kid in high school, I was studying English. And they said, well, where did the English language come from? And they talked about, wow, it came from this old guttural German, Old Norse that the Vikings brought across. And I was thinking, well, that's cool, the Vikings, you know. And then immediately I started thinking, man, I want to make a film about Vikings, and they only speak in Old Norse, because if they say, if they speak English all of a sudden,
Right.
you're not buying it. But if they're speaking some guttural language,
Yeah.
you're sort of scared by them. And it's like, that's scary to me. And then I said to myself, I'm 17 years old. Why am I thinking about making films about Vikings? I don't know anything about making films and not much about Vikings. So why the hell am I even thinking about that? But that was something that was early on, was like, look, I think we're looking at a world where, and this is in the next film I'm going to do, I'm going to try and tackle this question, that there are big realms, spiritual realms. There's good, there's evil, and they are slugging it out for the souls of mankind. And my question is, why are we even important? Little old flawed humanity, why are we important in that process where the big realms are slugging it out over us? And I think there's bigger things at play here. And institutions that purport to touch on the divine are necessarily going to be affected by that slugfest that's going on between good and evil.
Right.
And
sometimes good gives up ground.
Yeah. And maybe not on purpose. You know,
Yeah.
maybe there's some deception involved, or self-deception.
Right. Co-opted.
Like every morning when I wake up, I actually pray that I don't deceive myself. You know, because it's like, you know, your mind is a very funny place. I mean, I've always said, you know, it's your second thought and your first action that you're responsible for. Your first thought, throw it away, you know.
Right. But upon consideration,
Yeah.
the second thought is what you're responsible for.
Yeah.
That's the difference between first degree and second degree murder.
There you go.
Right? Right?
There you
It's
go.
first degree, like, I'm plotting this out. And we take that into consideration when we sentence people.
Sure.
Like, if you're a person who you're all of a sudden you're in a fight with a guy, you didn't expect it, and you stab him and kill him, second degree murder.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker, I'm going to
Yeah.
find out where he is,
Yep.
and I'm going to go get him, first degree.
Sure. I
That's-
planned a
that's
lot of
worse.
murders in my life, you know.
Yeah, in your
We
head.
all have. Yeah, in your head. You plan the murder and you think, well, that's not a very good idea. But I think I could get away with it.
Right. There's the second thought. Yeah.
Sure.
That is interesting that we take that into consideration.
Yeah.
That we do. Like, if you've had time to think about it, you're a different kind of person than person who acts in the act.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're in your animal
act of
brain.
passion. What do you mean by you've spent a long time in your animal brain?
You're in flight or fight
Right.
all the time. You don't even sleep. It's like really not a good place to be. And if anybody looks at you the wrong way, you want to bite them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you say and do things that are socially unacceptable. And, you know, I went and got a brain scan by this guy called Daniel Amen, who's this brain guy. He's against all psych meds and stuff, but he thinks, like, let me have a look at your brain. And he put a radioactive tracer in me
Whoa.
and to photograph my brain.
Right,
He works with a lot
MRI,
of,
right?
Yeah, he works with a lot of football players and guys who've
Okay.
had brain injuries. Man, it's thirsty in here. But so he looked at my brain and he was like, and he opens the file and I'm in there with the guy and he looks up and he goes, "Are you okay?" And he goes, first he went like this. And I said, "What?" And he went, "Are you okay?" Like that. And I said, "Yeah, I think so." And he came over and he sat next to me, but very slowly and cautiously. He says, "No, you're not." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "You got the worst case of PTSD I have ever seen." Other logical reasons why I believe. So,
Like, what are those?
oh, okay. Stuff that happens in your own life. The results you get from actually appealing to a power greater than yourself, you know. And, I mean, I don't think it's any secret. I am flawed in the fact that I am by nature born an alcoholic, right? I did drugs, I did alcohol, so, and there was nothing that could stop me from doing that. Nothing. So I was really kind of you're on a downhill run. So I regard the fact that I was able to appeal to something greater than myself to help me and actually stop me doing that. I think what you're being asked to do is to think about other people and other things more than yourself, because it's kind of an ego disease.
Yeah.
So if you...
That is the problem with addiction, right? It's very narcissistic.
Very narcissistic.
Because you're constantly thinking about yourself and what you need.
Mm-hmm.
I need a drink. I need a bump. I need I need something.
Sure, I need
Yeah.
and no matter what you need, it's never going to be enough.
Right.
So you actually have to appeal to something outside that you consider bigger and better than yourself, which instantly kind of pushes you more in the direction of humility.
Yes.
because you're not the center of the universe anymore.
Right.
And that you can't do it. And the first step in any of that sort of stuff is accepting that you are powerless over it. That's the most powerful step you can do, is that you're powerless. When you realize that, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
there's fuck all I can do about this. I have to appeal to something better than me. And that to me is a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very uniquely human thing, the ability to course correct, and also just the concept of addiction in the first place.
Sure.
You know, it's a very uniquely human thing that we all know that there's dark roads our mind can go down, and then we wonder, like, what is the purpose of these dark thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
What is the purpose of this destructive behavior that we're all prone to in some way, shape, or form?
What is the purpose of everything?
Yeah.
I mean, like, really,
Right.
I mean, why am I here? What's the meaning of this?
Yeah.
And I'm looking for purpose, and you have to think about the other side. You have
Yeah.
to think about what comes next. Is there a next? Yes, there is. I believe there is. And I think it's depends on how you live now. And the beauty of believing is that even for your transgressions, you can be forgiven. And you can be redeemed. But it's all up here,
Right.
you know.
It's the true acceptance and understanding of what you've done
Mhm.
and what you should do.
Sure. You have to
And
look
how-
at yourself honestly.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Creator is above the law. I mean, it's an interesting fact to note that the first canonized saint, you know who it was?
No.
The first ever confirmed canonization as a saint was Dismas. You know who Dismas was?
No.
He was the thief on the cross next to Jesus.
Oh.
And he says to him, "You're going to be okay. This day you'll be with me." Unbaptized, criminal, all that stuff. So
Wow.
the lawmaker is above the law. So there's a lot of mercy.
But what do you think separates us from all the other creatures?
Wow. I think we have a soul. We're created with a soul. I just believe we are higher than those creatures because we have a soul. We have an intellect above theirs. And we aspire to higher things. We have aspirations.
Right.
And, you know, this is part of why people drink and smoke and do dope and all this kind of stuff, is because they're looking for a spiritual experience. They're looking for, like they actually call alcohol spirits. I mean,
Right.
they're looking for something higher. And I think we all have that yearning in that we want to be happy, and we want to be at peace, and we want everything to be hunky-dory. So there's this yearning inbuilt in all of us for that, to aspire to something greater. It's like these stories inspire us. I was at a party the other day in Tennessee, and you think, Tennessee, what's going to happen there? It's going to be squeal like a pig. No. Man, there's some people live in Tennessee.
Sure.
But like amazing people. And I found myself in a conversation with 4 tier 1 dudes. And the one guy I ended up talking to was an SAS guy, British SAS. And he just looks like a bank teller. But he did something extraordinary and incredibly brave, and with no regard for himself, only regard for other people. And it was like, whoa. You hear these stories, and it's sort of just like, it pumps you up. You think, could I do that? Could I be that person?
This is the most important thing for anybody that's really freaked out about climate change. there's no static temperature of Earth ever. There's never been a time where it maintains a temperature until human beings came along and fucked it all up. That is just not real. Yeah, you talk about humility. Like, what gives you more humility than being publicly humiliated?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Public humiliation. And it's, you know what? For most people, it is their number one fear.
Sure.
Is public humiliation.
Yeah. Public speaking, and because of that, public humiliation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Because we're so concerned about other people's opinions of us.
I
I
guess.
think this is what we were talking about before, that there is good and evil.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it manifests itself in a very clear and obvious way. And I think that's what that was. That was evil. That was putting people's lives second and putting money first.
Well, I don't know why Fauci's still walking around.
How is that guy still walking around?
I don't get it.
If just people understand the history of the AIDS crisis and what that guy did back then.
Did you read that book?
Yeah, fucking insane, because they wanted to promote that vaccine because they wanted to profit off of it, which brings us back again to evil. Evil's real. It's real. Putting money over human lives is evil.
I agree.
It's a real thing, and there's a temptation to do it too, which is even more crazy.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at your life now and you're on your third act, as you were saying, like what do you look forward to these days? Is it creating things?
It's
Is
creation.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it is. It's about creation. And I figure I'm pretty average at most things, but I'm good at a couple of things. You know, I know how to tell a story on film. I know how to do that. I don't know, that's a weird place to be, but I think a lot can be achieved by art and image. And you can convey a lot without actually having to say it. You can do things to affect people emotionally or spiritually, even without being overt. And it's that first shot in the Gladiator movie where he's running his hand over the wheat, right? With that music and stuff. Why does that work? I don't know. You can't explain it, but it works.
This is the resurrection story.
Yeah. And I even had to change my entire life to do it.
How so?
You can't go into a project as profound in nature as that without somehow preparing yourself for it. It's like preparing for a fight, you know.
Right.
It's like you have to be fit for the fight. And yeah, so you have to spiritually prepare yourself for that. And that's going to take some sacrifice. And because, I profess this and I profess that. I'm not a great example of Christianity. I'm just, I'm flawed and I make a lot of mistakes, but I have to try and be better somehow in order to go in and make that film.
One of the things that I thought was fascinating was reading and listening to Jim Caviezel talk about his experience playing Christ in your film.
Yeah.
That it just truly changed the course of his whole life.
Well, it was fascinating to watch him work, actually. And most of the time, I just, backed away. He did something, I think, that nobody else did. And I think he pulled it off because I totally, believed it.
I believed it, too.
And it was like, what did he do? He emptied himself out.
Yeah.
And he invited something else in. And he left it. He didn't try anything. He emptied himself out and he meditated. And he let Christ in.
And that role seemed to have had a profound effect on him.
It did.
As a human being.
Oh, absolutely.
And kind of fucked him up in his career.
A little bit. Yeah.
Because people associated him entirely with that film, and then they associated him with Christianity, and then they associated him with right-wing politics. But did that role change him? Because it seemed to have strengthened his faith.
Sure, it did. Yeah. He got in real tight with it, and I think he had some experiences while he was doing it.
Didn't he get struck by lightning?
Well, there's 2 times there was these lightning strikes happening on the set, And there was this guy with him. He was a young fella, one of the assistants on the film. His name was Jan. And old Jan was he's at 6'2", northern Italian guy, if he tripped in the street, women would slide under him, It was that kind of stuff. The guy was like a babe magnet, right? And I think he was taking full advantage of the gifts he had. But he got hit by lightning the first time, getting people. We were out on the hill and there was a lightning storm, like with the crosses and stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
And this guy called Chieppo, he was a grip, and he never spoke a word to me the whole time. He's just a quiet kind of guy. And I figured, he doesn't know English, so. But he came up to me, and in perfect English, he said, I think you should get all the people off the hill. We could be struck by lightning. And I thought, that's a good idea. Let's get off the hill. So we're moving off the hill. Everybody's getting off. And this kid gets hit through the umbrella, this Jan guy. He gets zapped by lightning, right? But he's 22, and he goes to the disco all night and dance. He's doing the whole, 22 experience. And he comes back the next day, and he's like, yeah, it was great. And then he was with Jim the second time it happened. But this time, I found him in a Fiat Bambino with his knees up around his ears, like waiting for the third strike. He was like, this just doesn't happen twice in the third strike. And he says, I have to change my life. It's a very strange experience, that one, because I put the money in and I thought, well, maybe I'll break even. And it was, then I got these messages back. All the majors wouldn't distribute it. So I was like, nobody will distribute it. Okay, I guess I've lost, the money, but it was worth the experience. And so one guy was left in the room at the end when the dust settled. It was some guy. He said, I'll distribute. And he had a little company called New Market, and they distributed like 1 or 2 films before. And I think it was a Charlize Theron movie called A Monster, about that horrible serial killer.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll do it. And, it was just really basics. I went and I met the exhibitors. And, and this guy was like the distributor. This little company, it was just him and a toothless dog and a fax and an assistant. And it was like, okay, what's all the smoke and mirrors about this between the distribution and exhibition? I made handshake deals with all the exhibitors. Yeah, we'll show this. I said, okay. And then we put it out there. And it went out. Nobody expected it to do much, but it did phenomenally well. And there was this kind of thing in the town. They said, did anyone just see that? Did anyone just see what that guy did? Can't let that guy do that again. And we don't want anyone doing that, because it sort of walked around the entire system.
Yes.
And scored.
Right. So there was 2 things. There was resistance to the Christianity aspect of it and promotion of Christianity. And then there was resistance to the fact that you went outside the system.
It was outside. Well, I had no alternative.
Right.
Because no major would back it.
Because of the Christianity aspect of it.
I guess, yeah.